Good morning all of you. Welcome back to course Database Management System. In the previous video we discussed about the two-phase locking protocol. So we discussed the concept of concurrency control mechanism, and we have discussed one of the concurrency control mechanism, that is two-phase locking protocol. We understand that two-phase locking protocol works in the two phases, growing phase and the shrinking phase, and we also discuss about how two-phase locking protocol ensures the serializability while executing a transaction. Now in this video we are going to discuss about a second type of concurrency control protocol, that is a timestamp based protocol. So as its name suggests, this algorithm, or you can say protocol, works on the concept of timestamp. Now in order to demonstrate this algorithm, I will give a simple example so that you will understand how this algorithm works. Now whenever we are going for any hospital, so at that time how doctor is going to treat the patient, in what sequence that doctor has to treat the patient. So n number of patients are there. For example, only one doctor is there in that particular hospital and n number of patients are there. So in that case the problem is that which patient has to be treated by doctor first. So in that case two things are being used. Either that compounder or assistant will issue a token to the patient, that token number 1, token number 2, token number 3. Likewise, that assistant will issue token to available patient and ask them to go to doctor in a sequence of a token. That token number 1 patient should go first, then token number 2. In that case, that assistant is going to control the number of patient which is to be treated by the doctor. First is based on token. So that token is physical token, that is a sequence number 1, 2, 3, like that. And another way can be there. In that case you can that assistant can make use of a timestamp, that at 11 AM patient 1 will be will go to doctor. At 11:30 patient 2 is allowed to go to doctor's cabin. At 12 third patient will be there. That means based on the time that patient will go to doctor one by one. That means this is considered as a timestamp. Okay, otherwise what will happen, there is a problem that every patient says that I want to go to doctor cabin first, means I want to get diagnosed first as compared to other patients. So in that case always there is a problem. So assistant will allow or assign a timestamp to that patient. So according to timestamp, one by one that patient will be treated by that doctor. In the same way, in a database n number of transactions are there and they want to execute, so we need to decide the order on which that transaction can execute. So we are discussing about timestamp based algorithm. So the basic idea behind this timestamp algorithm is very simple. The transaction which is coming first has to be executed first, means totally based on the timestamp. Suppose transaction 1 is coming at 11 o'clock and transaction T2 is coming at 11:5. So transaction T1 has to be executed first because it comes at 11, and transaction T2 has to be executed after T1 because it is coming at 11:5. Or in another way we can make use of a logical counter, that first transaction T1 comes, then T2, so T1 has to be processed first and then after that T2. So in this way that transaction has to be ordered according to the timestamp. So this is a basic idea of this timestamp algorithm. So timestamp is what? Timestamp is nothing but a unique identifier or a tag that is attached to any transaction, and it denotes the specific time on which that transaction is activated. Okay, and it is used to order the transaction. Okay, this timestamp is used to order the transaction based on this timestamp. Okay, and the timestamp can be generated in two ways. What are the two ways? Just we have discussed the example. Either make use of a current date time, or you can make use of a logical counter. Either you can use number like this 1, 2, 3, 4 likewise, or you can assign a time, that 11 AM, 11:30 AM, 12 PM, 12:30 PM, likewise. So you can decide your own timestamp. Okay. Now in this case, in timestamp based algorithm, for each data item X, it is associated with two values. First, read underscore TS of X. What it represent? Read timestamp of data item X, which represent the time when data item X has been read. Okay, similarly write timestamp is there, write underscore ts of x. So write timestamp of item x, it represents the time when data item x has been written into. So these are the two timestamp, one is a read timestamp and second one is a write timestamp. Now we discuss this algorithm. Now how that algorithm ensure? It simply check. Algorithm is nothing but an assistant which is sitting outside the doctor's cabin. So what that assistant will do, that assistant will verify that whatever the patient which is coming, that timestamp, suppose two patients are there, patient 1 and patient 2, so that assistant is going to check the token, that patient 1 is having token number 5 and patient 2 is having token number 6. So obviously which patient has to be allowed first? Obviously the patient having lowest timestamp, that is token number 5. Why? Because patient number 5 is coming first to hospital, so that patient 5 has to be treated first. So assistant either check their token number, okay, that patient 1 having token 5 and patient 2 is having token number 6. So in that case assistant will check that the token number 5 is less as compared to token number 2, that is 6. So in that case assistant will allow patient 1 to go to doctor's cabin. Or second thing is that patient either that assistant will check based on the timing, that 11 is a time allotted to patient 1 and 11:30 is time allotted to patient 2. So obviously that assistant will allow patient 1 to go to doctor's cabin. So in the same way this algorithm will work. Suppose transaction T issues a write item X, means transaction T wants to perform write operation on data item X. So in that case algorithm will check whether the read timestamp of data item X is greater than timestamp of transaction T or not. If that condition is true, then abort and roll back the transaction and just reject the operation. If that condition is not true, that means this condition is false, then execute the write item X of transaction T. This is for write purpose. We suppose that transaction T wants to perform write operation, then you need to compare the read timestamp. Similarly, suppose transaction T wants to perform read operation, then at that time you have to check the write timestamp. So in this case you are going to check if this condition is true, then abort and roll back the operation. Suppose this condition is false, then you have to execute. That means suppose transaction T wants to perform write operation, then read timestamp of data item X is checked. Suppose transaction T wants to perform read operation, then write timestamp of that data item X has been checked. So the basic idea of this algorithm is very simple, that assistant will check whatever the transaction that is coming, it should have less timestamp. Means timestamp should be less. If timestamp is less, that means it is a older transaction and it should get a first priority for its execution. So that is being checked by this timestamp based algorithm. Is based on the time that transaction is being decided in which order that transaction has to be executed. Suppose transaction T1 is coming at 11 o'clock and transaction T2 is coming at 11:5. So obviously transaction T1 has to be allowed first for its execution. So this is what a basic timestamp algorithm which ensures the serializability, and it also is a type of a concurrency control mechanism. So I hope you understand the concept of timestamp based algorithm. It's a very simple concept. It is totally based on example which I have given to you. Thank you.